BJ Mafia was popping. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence did not have the year 3 ascension that many analysts, many of us fans, and especially the Jaguars front office expected out of Trevor Lawrence, especially with the expectations that were placed on his shoulders. And there's a multitude of layers as to why Trevor Lawrence was not successful in 2023. The Jaguars obviously were 9-8. They missed out on the postseason after losing 5 out of their last 6 games. Trevor Lawrence had been banged up for the entirety of the season, it felt like. The Jaguars had injuries to their key skill position guys with guys like Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, who all missed significant amount of time. You look at the roster construction around Trevor Lawrence, and that falls in the lap of the general manager. You look at a first-time play caller in Press Taylor. There are so many layers as to why Trevor Lawrence was not successful in 2023, but it brings up 2 important questions. One, is Trevor Lawrence the franchise quarterback? I honestly don't agree with that sentiment. I don't agree with that question because I believe he is the franchise quarterback. But honestly, those questions by those people are valid questions to ask, especially after what we saw in year 3. And the second question is, should the Jaguars pay Trevor Lawrence? That is where this gets interesting. That's what I'm going to be talking about here in depth today, and I'm going to give you guys my opinion. Should the Jaguars pay Trevor Lawrence either this offseason, next season, or should they even pay him at all? Let's have a talk about it. Now, 2 things before I really get into this video and I really deep dive into the Trevor Lawrence contract negotiations. If you guys please could, man, first of all, go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure you guys also go ahead and follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below. And secondly, I just worked on a full off-season rebuild video for you guys. It's not perfect. I don't expect everybody to agree with it, but I did put a lot of work into it, and I do think that you guys would enjoy it. I'll go ahead and I'll link to that video up above if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. But Jags fans, let's actually go ahead and talk about Trevor Lawrence and his contract negotiations in this video now. Now, I listed off a bunch of different reasons as to why Trevor Lawrence might not have been successful, and one of those issues I blamed was roster construction, which falls on the general manager, Trent Baalke. Now, if you guys did not see last Thursday, the 25th of January, Trent Baalke had his, end of the season press conference. It's about 30 minutes long. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. You're doing yourself a disservice by not watching it because he said a whole lot and there was a lot of things he didn't say, but he said with his mannerisms. And one thing that came up was, of course, Trevor Lawrence and his contract negotiations. And if you go to his press conference on the 25th, that Thursday, Jaguars general manager Trent Baalke was asked if he plans to extend Trevor Lawrence this offseason and if any of those plans have changed. His response, no. I think we're going to sit down with ownership in the next several days, sit down with the head coach, sit down with the personnel staff, and really review the roster. Now, Baalke said he wouldn't rule out extending Trevor Lawrence this offseason. That's something good that you want to hear. He said we've already done it in terms of the negotiations, right? It's not like we're really starting from scratch. Really just have a heart-to-heart on where we're at with all the guys that are potentially coming up. There's some good players on this roster that we'd like to see moving forward. And of course, you have to obviously think about maybe Calvin Ridley getting re-signed or him getting the franchise tag. Obviously, Josh Allen. What about guys like Tyson Campbell, Andre Cisco, Travis Etienne from that 2021 draft class? There's a lot of guys that you got to pay attention to. But let's keep going on with Trent Baalke and these quotes. Now, Trent Baalke keeps going on about Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor had another learning year, like we all do when we are a third-year guy in this league. I think there are some areas where he made some great strides in. You look at this season, the 2 things we've got to do, and we've got to do a better job, is keeping him safe and protected, and he's also got to do a better job of protecting himself. Unfortunately, he had 4 key injuries this season. When your quarterback has a throwing shoulder injury, a knee injury, an ankle injury, and a concussion in all in 1 year, it's alarming. So we've got to work to improve that. And that's not just one factor. There's a lot of things that contribute to that, but we have to do a better job there. As far as Trevor and the long-term relationship with his team, there's no doubt in that. We're going to get something done at the appropriate time. Now, while I do honestly like this response from Trent Baalke, I think he was very transparent, very open and honest about the process of, hey, we've talked to ownership about this in the past. Where do we stand with Trevor Lawrence, his contract negotiations? He just concluded his third season, which means that he's eligible for a contract extension. And obviously, you could pick up his fifth-year option, which I assume the Jaguars will do that by May 2nd, because if they go ahead and they pick up his fifth-year option at the deadline, May 2nd, that will lock in a fully guaranteed salary of $21.98 million for the 2025 season. And when that's combined with the $1.06 million salary he's due to make in 2024 in his fourth year in Jacksonville. I honestly did not mind Trent Baalke's response because I thought he was transparent. He was open and he was honest about the entire process. There are bigger fish right now to take care of at this very moment than to prioritizing Trevor Lawrence contract negotiations. You have to worry about two guys specifically. One, Josh Allen. You absolutely have to pay Josh Allen. And secondly is, are we going to retain Calvin Ridley? Whether you franchise tag him or re-sign him, I don't care how you do it. I want Calvin Ridley back on this team next season. Topic for another day. But now getting back onto Trevor Lawrence, let's actually go ahead and talk about the 5 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL as of right now. So we've got 1 Joe Burrow, 2 Justin Herbert, 3 Lamar Jackson, 4 Jalen Hurts, and 5 dangerous Russell Wilson. Now, 4 out of these 5 quarterbacks have accomplished at least something in the past or something in recent memory in order to earn top dollar and become a top 5 highest paid quarterback. The only quarterback on this list is Justin Herbert, who hasn't accomplished anything in the postseason. Obviously, he blew that 27-point lead. That's a whole different conversation for a whole nother day. But all of these quarterbacks, Joe Burrow just took his team to the Super Bowl in 2022. Lamar Jackson was just in the AFC Championship game. Jalen Hurts was just in the Super Bowl and outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that game despite it coming in a losing effort. Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl back in 2014, even though he's nowhere near the same player that he once was. Now let's actually talk about the numbers that these guys are making and talk about whether or not Trevor should get paid like these guys. So top 5 quarterbacks in terms of paid. Joe Burrow, 5 years, $275 million, $55 million annually. Second, Justin Herbert, 5 years, $262.5 million, $52.5 million annually. Lamar Jackson, 5 years, $260 million, $52 million annually. Jalen Hurts at number 4, 5 years, $255 million, $51 million annually. And dangerous Russell Wilson, 5 years, $246.2 million. That's $48.5 million annually. Now, here's the question that arises with all of this. Should the Jaguars pay Trevor Lawrence this offseason? And 2, what kind of money should they pay him? Now, I'm personally of the mindset the Jaguars should absolutely pay Trevor Lawrence this offseason. Take care of Josh Allen, decide what you're going to do with Calvin Ridley, whether you're going to franchise tag him or give him a new contract if Trent Baalke and the organization wants to move on from him, whatever. But you absolutely pay Josh Allen, and you are absolutely going to pay Trevor Lawrence this offseason. I'll get into the money in a second, but let me give you my rationale as to why you pay Trevor Lawrence now. You're going to push that contract, which is not going to kick in until 2026. Okay, you're going to have 2 more years where you're not going to have to worry about that salary cap for Trevor Lawrence in a contract extension. This season, like I said, if the Jaguars are going to pick up his 5th-year option, which they absolutely will, by May 2nd, that's going to kick in a $1.6 million salary he's due to make in 2024 in year 4. You're working on a budget, and you can maneuver around that. You go to his 5th-year option in 2025, that is going to lock in that $21.98 million salary that he is fully guaranteed in his contract. Then that pushes back his new contract that you're going to give him this summer into 2026. So you're giving yourself 2 more years of flexibility with Trevor Lawrence, and you're assuring him he's the guy. You're making sure he knows he's the guy by rewarding him with the money. Now, regardless if Trevor Lawrence has earned top $5 or not, that, honestly, to me, that's a whole different conversation that we can be having. But the reason why you pay Trevor Lawrence right now and you pay him this summer is because the market is only going to go up. The market will continue to go up. Look at a guy like Josh Allen, for example. Last season, I was beating down the door prior to the season for Josh Allen to get paid. And look, he banked on himself in that 5th-year option, and it paid off because you know what? Josh Allen's about to get $120+ million from the Jaguars, and he damn sure better get it because he just put together 17.5 sacks. If you would have paid him last season, given him a 4-5-year deal last season, you would have gotten him at a much better value, at a much better price. But because he banked on himself and because he put together a career-high season, he's going to expect top dollar, as he should. If you continue to wait and wait and wait on Trevor Lawrence, he's going to continue to have the leverage, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to get your quarterback, who is going to be the most expensive player on your roster when they're off their rookie contract, at a premium and at a price that is going to age well. You do not want to go out there and wait till next season, or hell, even wait another season into the last year, into the last moment, where you're then going to have to pay Trevor Lawrence at the time now $350 million, when you could probably go get him right now, let's say somewhere between top 3 to 5 money, right? Let's just call it 5 years, $258 million, $52 million of it annually. Right? Let's just call it that. You've got Lamar Jackson making $52 million annually, Justin Herbert making $52.5 million annually, and Jalen Hurts $51 million annually. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Trevor Lawrence is making somewhere around that number for the money that he could be making. That is where you get the most bang for your buck, and you pay the guy now. I'm not neglecting Travis Etienne, Andre Sisco, Tyson Campbell, of course Josh Allen, and potentially Calvin Ridley this offseason. I'm simply stating you pay your quarterback now before the market continues to go up and up and up. It is inevitably going to go up. Look at all of these quarterbacks across the league that are getting paid top dollar. Look at what Jerry Jones did with Dak Prescott a couple of seasons ago, consistently holding out and waiting out when they could have gotten him at a much cheaper price if they just would have paid him the year before. And they waited to the last minute, and Dak Prescott got the most bang for his buck, as he should, because he had the leverage in that situation. The question you need to ask yourself is Trevor Lawrence the franchise quarterback? 98% of us are going to say yes. Absolutely, he's the franchise quarterback. Whether he deserves top 5 money or not, that's a whole different conversation. But at the end of the day, you know damn straight he's going to get his money, and you might as well just pay him now. Just pay him now before the money goes up. That is all the rationale should be when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, and when it comes to the amount of money that he should be getting paid. Pay the man, reward the man. He's going to get better. Put a better roster around him. And if he can stay healthy, which honestly, it didn't even feel like a lot of his injuries last season were even on him. Going from the shoulder injury, the ankle injury, the knee injury, a concussion, you name it. Trevor Lawrence is healthy. He's the franchise quarterback. He's consistently played like a top 10 quarterback in this league, especially when he's upright and healthy. Get him some weapons. Build the right roster around him. Please, God, don't let Press Taylor be the offensive play caller again. And Trevor Lawrence is going to continue to ascend before your very eyes. Pay the man. Jags fans, that is really all I have to say with this video. I'm very passionate about this take. I'm very passionate about paying Trevor Lawrence, making sure you are paying your franchise quarterback, and taking care of the face of your franchise. At the very end of the day, nothing else matters. Doug Peterson can go, Trent Baalke can go, anybody in this organization can go, but Trevor Lawrence. At the end of the day, he is the franchise, and he is exactly the centerpiece that this city needs, this fan base needs, and the hope that we need. And I'm not obviously advocating for Doug to lose his job. You get my point. I'm just, making a comparison, just saying that Trevor Lawrence is that damn important. Jags fans, let me know if you guys agree with me in this video. Should the Jaguars pay Trevor Lawrence this offseason? And if they shouldn't, when should they, or should they just not? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, because there are Jags fans that think that, hey, I got to see him have another great season before I pay him again, which honestly is valid, even though I would pay him right now. But Jags fans, thank you guys again for sticking around throughout the whole video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Before I let you guys up and out of here, man, like I said, please go ahead, drop me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube, and make sure you guys go ahead and follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But Jags fans, thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. And like always, let's go Jags.